It's amazing. Every time he comes on, he just powerhouses information based on personal story and example. And it's okay to take a risk, and it's okay to make a mistake, and it's okay to have that feeling of failure every once in a while, but it's what you get to do with it, and it's what you surround yourself with to move forward from it that has the greatest impact. We live, we learn. We win, we lose. But at the end of the day, we have to be okay with that before we decide to put our head down and get up for the next day, ready to take it on and take it out. Right? Right. Awesome. And thank you, Bobby Jones. I'm going to say Bobby Jones like every day now, all right. So this next gentleman, I am enamored with, and I mean that in all sincerity and genuineness, because the first time I had a chance to meet this man, I just genuine conversation with him. I was in Nashville, Tennessee, again at a Movement Maker Live. And when I tell you that there are very few people that can stop me just by staring at me, this guy's it. And the reason why I say that is because he was just like, so how are you doing? I'm like, I'm doing great. How are you? And he's like, yeah, well, what do you do? I'm like, oh, I don't really know yet. Okay. What are you thinking about doing? All right. How do I match frequencies? I'm trying so hard to figure this out. Zoomies, when I tell you my brain was everywhere, my brain was everywhere. People in the room, when I tell you my brain was everywhere, it was everywhere. But there's one thing that I felt around this gentleman, that it was total comfort and security. I did not feel like I was being judged on these questions. I did not feel like I was being put in a competition of wits, if you know what I mean, when you meet people. This man was genuinely communicating to me because he intentionally wanted to know about me and who I was. And I say that because that stemmed the beginnings of what I consider a friendship. Now, we talk every so often. The man is busy. The man is moving and shaking. The man has been at least at one different place a month now for the entire year. And he's been doing a lot of awesome things. But the one thing I can tell you is whenever he's around, or if you're in front of him, he is 100% fully present, engaged, and focused. This man listens, and he doesn't listen to respond. He listens to understand. Why? Because he wants to serve. And the method of which he serves is nothing short of 100% genuineness and 100% intentionality. And when you have people that help you with genuineness and intention, those are the people that can change your life, because those are the people that care enough to understand you as an individual to change your life. This man, his wisdom's profound, his stare is intense, but most importantly, the heart that this man carries to the table wherever he goes is absolutely incredible. So, ladies and gentlemen, please give a huge round of applause for Mr. Larry Smart.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Thank you. Thank you very much. I'm glad to be going on day one because I get to relax and let loose after today. So this ought to be fun. So I am Lee Aaron Smart. On paper, I'm Lee. Family calls me Aaron. My wife, the love of my life, wife calls me darling, dear. My 4 kids call me dad. My aunt calls me smart ass. My best friend calls me the dumbest smart person he's ever met in his life. I lack what they call the social skills. Okay. So I am a professional coach. You can call me coach. And I think there's a lot of misconception in the coaching industry of what a coach does. I think a lot of people have a conception that a coach is going to download a bunch of information on you, and then you're going to change your life with all this new information. I don't think that way. I want to help you unlock what it is you have inside of you. That's actually what I want to try and do today, is help you unlock a little bit of what you are capable of. So today's speech is separated into 3 different parts. I'm going to share a story with you from my life, and then we're going to dive into my own personal values based on this story. And then after that's over, you can start to take a peak experience story of your own and mine for values. That way you can live more aligned with what you value in your life. After that, I'm going to tell you why I ended up deciding it's so important for me to live within my values, and how I ended up redefining success in my life. I became monetarily successful, and I hated my life. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about that. And then last, I'm going to share with you a bit of the framework that I've managed to develop, that I've helped manage to get my clients to not only stay motivated, but live with more passion and purpose in their life. And there is some discipline in it, but there's a next higher level above discipline that I've found, inspiration. Okay? So let's go to that. Number one, as I tell you this story, pay attention for what kind of values that you hear, and then we'll kind of mine for this after, okay? My wife and I got a surprise opportunity to spend some time alone. My aunt decided to watch our kids, so we're on the way home, and then on the way home, we're kind of adventurous. You know, sitting around and watching Netflix is just not an idea of a lot of fun for us. So as we're pulling in the driveway, it's like, I don't know, we'll go kayaking. For you, those of you not familiar with what a kayak is, it's like a canoe, but you're lower in the water. Okay, we're in Louisiana, and it's cold. It's in the end of January. It's been cold enough for long enough. The leaves are gone from the trees. We had a nice cold front come through. It was crisp, not a cloud in the sky. It was freezing at night, so on and so forth. So my wife turns to me. She says, "You don't think it's too cold to go kayaking?" I said, "No, we're not going in. It'll be fine." You already know what's coming. So we put in, we have an irrigation canal runs right next to our piece of property that leads directly into the bayou. We go down the bayou a little ways, there's gators and so on and such. It's a freaking boatload of fun. But funny, isn't it? So as we're going down the irrigation canal, we come across an empty aluminum fishing boat. My brain immediately goes to, this is a whole lot like Hills Have Eyes, Deliverance kind of setup. So we keep going and we hit the bayou. And as we hit the bayou, this fishing boat comes up behind us. And the gentleman slows down. Really nice guy, surprise, surprise. We have a great conversation as he's passing us up. And he left us with some words I will never forget for the rest of my life. He said, "Great day to be on the water, but I wouldn't want to go." And then he left. For any of you who've ever watched a horror movie, you know what's coming next. Okay? As he leaves, I can't leave this alone. I could not leave this alone. "Hey, darling, you want to go in?" Get on that nice man. I said, "Picking on that was funny." So we keep going down the bayou a little ways, and then next thing I know, I'm paddling hard. Not really going very fast anymore. "Darling, there's a whole lot more water in this boat than I thought there should be." She said, "What do you want to do?" "I don't know if there's a whole lot we can do. Let's just keep going." Next thing I know, I'm giving it everything I've got. Well, I'm not going anywhere. I look behind me. The back end of my boat is under the water. Oh, shit. The manhood shrinking water that was in my boat, thanks to the ice baths I had been taking up to that point, I know it was approximately 39.62 degrees Fahrenheit. I swam paddled this boat to the shore. Shore's a little bit high up. It's muddy. We're in Louisiana. You can't see in the water. Me being as smart as I am, I'm wearing shorts and a t-shirt. It's less than 40 degrees out. I'm barefoot because that's what I do. And I'm dragging this boat up the bank and slipping in the mud and falling in. And I finally get this boat up and I start draining it. And the whole time, Tanya's cracking up. She's laughing, dying laughing. We're cracking up. We're making jokes. I'm expecting a snake to slither over my feet at any moment. I'm expecting an alligator to come protect her nest. Something. Draining this boat. A couple of cuss words here and there, but we're cracking jokes. We're having fun. We have 2.5 hours left until the sun sets. 2 hours left in our trip, if the boat was working properly. By all intents and purposes, this was a life-threatening situation. But we're having fun. If I got stuck with the sun going down, that would be overnight in freezing temperatures, soaking wet, shorts and a t-shirt. Oh, well, let's do this thing. I've been doing resilience training for a while. So I trained the boat a few more times as I'm going. We finally make it to the boat launch. And as we're pulling in, the sun has just gone down below the horizon. The fishermen at the launch looked at us. We're like, we're absolutely nuts. I was so cold, I could not operate the straps to tie the boats to the truck. I had to warm the truck up, get the heater going to get my hands to operate again. Being that cold for that long works up an appetite. That was the best steak I think I've ever had in my life. That's the story. We make it out alive. Everything's fine. We crack up. We have jokes. So now we're going to go into the values mining portion of this exercise. What values did you notice? Put them in the chat. What values did you notice as I was telling the story? What do I care about? Is it adventure? Certainly. What else? Fun, humor, resilience. Yes. Staying calm in stressful situations, stress-proofing myself. I think y'all covered quite a few of them. Missed one, major one. Connection. Deep, meaningful connection with the people that I love. Way up there. Courage is another really phenomenal value. And you can ask Favor when you see him. He calls me Honest Lee. My number one value is honesty. When we were on a boat here in Chicago not too long ago, he came up to me and said, I need to know something. I need to know the truth. I know you'll tell me. Blah, blah. So he asked me a question. I'm not going to bullshit you. I don't believe in it. I believe in honesty. So what you can do in your life, what you can do is find yourself a peak experience in your life. Now, hang on to this for afterwards, because this is going to take a little bit of extra effort to do this. So put it in your journal, whatever it takes to do this. Think about a peak experience, something that you've been through where you just knew you were on. Like, this is why I was meant to be alive. And then start to mine that experience for those values. And if you can live more often within those values in your life, life's pretty fucking good. And I'll tell you how I got there. So I'm going to take it way back. When my first daughter was born, I had been a party animal up to that moment. Running from a lot of pain, a lot of trauma, so on and so forth. I used drugs and alcohol and partying as a way to avoid all the pain. And in that hospital, as my daughter was being born, my dad pulled me aside and said, boy, by the time you make yourself into something she can be proud of. And that statement went right to the heart, just like all the best statements do. Yes, sir, you're right. And up to that moment, the only thing I'd ever known from the people I looked up to in my life was hard work. You're going to get to work. So that's what I did. I was the hardest working son of a bitch you'd ever meet. I was working very hard, but I was working for other people. And I started to notice all this hard work I was doing wasn't getting me anywhere. Second kid came up. Like, all right, this is not cutting. Not cool. So I started reading. Oh, where'd they move? They moved. Oh, yeah. So number 2 was Zach up here, my boy. So I was working very, very hard. So I started reading. First book I picked up was Think and Grow Rich, and then it was Law of Success. Then it was all of Zig Ziglar's programs, Win Friends, Influence People. Personal development junkie. Thousands of books. And I decided at that point, I guess it's time to do my own thing. Hold my beer. Watch this. We're going to go start to do it on my own. And when I went to an advisor to see how to build a business plan and everything, he said, what are you going to do for marketing? What's marketing? Which is one of the key pieces of success, is to move in with the utter conviction that you know it's going to work out no matter what. Just move forward. Take action. Do it. You'll figure it out as you go. That's exactly what I did. And I would work 100-hour weeks. I was like, Justin, I was up at 3. If I was working at 5 a.m., I was late. I forgot what my house looked like in the sun. I worked hard. Very, very hard. And used a lot of caffeine to keep me moving. And then I would use alcohol at night to get me to slow down so I could go to sleep. A perfect storm of a badly managed autoimmune disorder, something I'd been carrying with me for years. The doctors gave me 2.5 grams of ibuprofen a day to manage the pain I was in. The caffeine I was taking, the alcohol, the stress from the job, all of it together, I lost 40 pounds in 3 months. Started having bloody stools, had massive chest pain. One morning on the way to work, I felt terrible, but who's going to do it but me? I'm on the way to work, go to work, and as I'm trying to work, I'm like, something's wrong. Something is seriously wrong. So by the time my employees got in, I'd already called the doctor. I'm headed to the doctor. I'm going to go to see the doctor. He sends me to the hospital. And in that hospital, my wife brought 3 young ones with her. And my son stood at the foot of the bed, and I've got all the wires and tubes hanging out of me. And he started crying. He was afraid to approach me. It broke me. All I wanted to do in that moment, go teach them how to ride bicycles, to be there for karate practice, for music lessons. I missed my middle daughter's first year of life because I worked so hard. And I didn't want them to have the only thing they remembered about me. Is Daddy works. Where's Daddy? He's at work. I knew that's all that they were going to remember. And you know what else is really terrible about that? I used to say, so I ran a mechanic shop. I was a really, really damn good mechanic. I used to say I polished turds for a living. That's how out of alignment I was with the work that I was doing in my life. Constantly putting out emergency fires, running around here, running around there. Nobody's ever happy, so on and so forth. So what I did when I came out of that hospital, I hired a functional medicine doctor who got my health on track. And thanks to him, that autoimmune disorder magically went away. I still deal with it every once in a while, but it takes a lot for it to show up. A lot. And I hired a life coach. And that life coach helped me take that business, turn it around. I was able to get out of the business and started working on it instead of in it, so on and so forth. And then a hurricane came over and took that building, that business, and put it in my neighbor's parking lot, scattered it everywhere. I was faced with a choice. Do the easy thing, rebuild that business, or I can do the hard thing, the thing I knew I was being called to do, become a coach. And it was a tough decision because at that point, I only knew myself as a mechanic. I'm here, decided to be a coach. I hated that calling. So I want to share with you a bit of the framework that I've managed to work out over the years of me becoming a coach and learning. The money I made in that business, I spent it all on training. This framework is a framework based around motivation. Now, I've separated it into 4 different parts. We've got sitting still, running from, running to, and just running. Sitting still, not go too deep into. Sitting still is kind of like a teenager in bed on a Saturday morning, unmotivated. Sitting still is also whenever we're taking a rest, pause, break, which is 100% necessary, but I'm not going to go into that today, okay? What I am going to go into is the different kinds of motivations that we can run into in our lives, starting with running from. Running from is kind of like, mentioned horror movie already. It's kind of like that last character when all the other friends have started to go away in the movie and they're sitting at the campfire and the leaves start to rustle a little bit and spooked. And then the boogeyman jumps out of the bushes and they're like, and they take off and they start running through the woods. Ooh, and they look behind them. So this is running from. This is fear-based motivation. What it looks like in real life is I am going to show up to work on time because I don't want to get in trouble with my boss. I am going to go to work because I want to have a house to live in. I don't want to lose my house. I don't want to lose my car. I want to be able to pay the bills. What this looks like in the diet and health industry is, I got fat. I'm going to go ahead and go start working out and dieting. Then you get just comfortable enough. Then the motivation goes away. Then you stop doing the diet, stop doing the exercise. Then you lose those results. Cycle starts over again. In business, what this looks like is the business owner who does not have enough customers and go, oh shit, I got to market. So they do a bunch of marketing real fast. And then they get this big influx of customers. Pain's gone. Marketing stops. They take care of the customers. Money starts to go away. Oh shit, can't pay my bills. Let's market. Never ending cycle, right? This is fear-based motivation. Fear-based running from is desperation-based. And you know that whenever you are desperate, you're forced to make decisions you wouldn't make otherwise. It puts your back against the wall and you're going to do things that just aren't aligned with who you want to be in the world because you're just trying to make ends meet. Or one of my least favorite statements in the world is, hey, how's it going? I'm making it. I'm getting by. Y'all know people like this. Fear-based motivation, desperation, okay? So moving on to part 2 of the framework is running to. This is like we're going to run a marathon. We have a goal to reach the finish line. This is, I want the house, I want the car, I want the 2.5 kids. I love that you use that because the dog. This is, I want the business that's going to create me the $1 million. I want the 6-pack abs, something to be pretty. Goal-based motivation. This is aspirational, not desperational. Okay. I am something that I'm aspiring to go get. Better, right? And I did this with that first business is, at first it was $10,000 a week. We would get there and I crossed that finish line. It was this brief moment of exhilaration, fall over from exhaustion. Something's missing. I must not have set that goal high enough. So it's $20,000 a week. And we push real hard and we cross that finish line and the brief moment of exhilaration, fall over from exhaustion, get up. Something's still missing. I must not have set that goal high enough. $40,000 a week. Let's go. Let's do it. Did it again. By that time, the moment of exhilaration was much shorter. It was like, here we are again. The problem with running to, one of the cons is if we hate the process of running and we're running a marathon, we're going to hate our life. If you hate what you're doing, you have to force yourself. You have to be disciplined and just push. Keep working harder. No one cares. Work harder. Just push. This is goal-based motivation. This is a lot of the rah-rah. I think of David Goggins. And the thing about success is if we don't define success on our own terms and live within our own values, it's kind of pointless when we get there. A lot of people might look at the Kardashians to be successful. And if I lived my life like them, I would be a complete failure in my own eyes. Different value systems. Or if I spent as much time on Facebook as Michael Faber does, I would think myself a failure. Okay. So let me move on to the last piece of this framework, and that's just running. And I think of Forrest Gump. I like it. I hope you could bring it. All right. Just running. I think of Forrest Gump. Forrest Gump in the very beginning of the movie, he's got these braces on his legs, and the neighborhood kids chase him in a truck and chunking rocks at him. Next thing you know, he goes from this to if the braces fall off, he takes off, he starts running. And then in the him telling the story, so from that day on, if I was going somewhere, I was running. This is just running. We are doing what we are put on this earth to do. I can't imagine myself doing anything different than what I'm doing. This is Stephen King writing book after book after book for decades. This is Martin Luther King giving his life for civil rights, fighting for it with everything he had. This is the king of rock and roll, who when the music flowed through him, his hips couldn't help but move in that way they move. I'm not even going to try. This is just running. We are living with our passion, with our purpose. This is what I'm put on this earth to do. So I want to help y'all move your life to start to get more of that in. Okay? I'm going to give you an exercise. I'm going to leave you with an exercise that you'll want to think through and do on your own time whenever you actually have some still moments. Okay? This is I do blank because I want blank. Well, bless you. Okay. And many times the best motivation comes from just running and running to. And the great thing about fear-based running from motivation, it's a great way to get you started. It is an absolutely great way to take off. Okay. But it's not going to keep you going, especially over the long term. So it's I do blank because I want blank. And one of the things that Faber likes to pick on me about is I go too deep too fast. Well, guess what? I'm not going to allow y'all to do that to stay shallow tonight. We're going to go a little bit deeper. Continue to break this exercise down. I do blank because I want blank, and keep going. I want blank because I actually want blank. It's kind of like the 5 why exercise. We keep going deeper and deeper and deeper into it. And I'm going to leave y'all with some real life examples of what this looks like whenever I coach people and they start to get deeper and deeper and deeper. I work out because I want to stay disciplined. I stay disciplined because I want to be in control. I want to be in control because I hate it when things are out of control. I hate it when things are out of control because the last time they were, it all fell apart. Notice how all of a sudden that goes fear-based motivation. Whenever at first it sounded like a really good thing, didn't it? I want to be disciplined. Once we dug in deeper to it, it's fear-based motivation. Okay. Next, I watch YouTube so I can learn things. I learn things so I can be productive. I watch YouTube so I can feel productive instead of actually doing the productive work that scares me. Truth, right? I watch social media because I want to avoid having that difficult conversation with my wife. They were honest right out the gate. I like it. I study leadership skills so I can learn how to talk to Jeff, an employee. I want to talk to Jeff because I want him to take more responsibility at work. I want him to take more responsibility at work so I can trust him while I'm away. I want to trust him while I'm away because I need to go on a vacation and I can't because I'm afraid it's all going to fall apart without me. All of a sudden, it's fear-based motivation. Sounded pretty good up front, didn't it? All right, this one took an unexpected turn. I exercise because I don't want to be fat. I don't want to be fat because I want to feel good. I want to feel good because I'm tired and I don't want to be tired. I don't want to be tired because I have work that means a lot to me and I want to do it. Sounds pretty aspirational based, isn't it? I go to work because I want to feed my kids. I want to feed my kids because I love them and I don't want them to die. Okay. Desperation-based motivation, aspiration-based motivation, inspiration-based motivation. The best is some combination of the three. So let's just keep this conversation going. Feel free to reach out to me outside of here. And thank you very much for having me on.